Darkcast Network. Indie pods with a dark side.
Warning. The following podcast may occasionally contain strong language and material that is not suitable for all ages. If you are easily offended, it is highly advised that you turn back now. However, if you're a degenerate, welcome, brethren. You've found your home.
Welcome to the Crime Diner. We are a Jersey podcast, and on the menu is a variety of true crime, cults, mysteries, historical hilarities, and sometimes victim stories. We do this within a dinner with friends theme. I'm Nydia.
I'm Dana.
I'm Cindy, and still sober, unlike Nydia.
I'm not that drunk.
A little slurred.
Last week, I told you a story about an avid
Amazon reviewer.
Okay, yes. He was an Amazon shopper, an avid Amazon shopper, and he would review it. He was also a side hustle as a killer. And I had no idea he was out there.
No, I didn't either.
No.
Only via TikTok.
Yeah. And so I told that story.
Yeah.
Very well, thank you.
She did it so sober. Really compelling. Really compelling stuff.
I was sober, yes. Yes. It was your fault, really, for making a tasty drink today.
It was tasty today. However, we did have some people that were from South Carolina, and they definitely messaged us about this story.
Stop it.
They was like, this is the worst guy from South Carolina that they could ever think of.
But I did the story justice, right?
Yeah, they did.
She gets her validation. Pay her.
Yes,
pay your
get
dues.
validation for
As
it.
long as I did.
She did so good.
Yeah. So what's your story about this week?
Step right up. Come with me to a place where the lines of morality become blurred, where the extraordinary collides with the ordinary, and where the human condition is laid out for the world to see.
Shit.
Tonight, we will talk about the mysterious world of sideshow freaks. We're going to talk about some of the most famous sideshow freaks, because you had mentioned to me one time that you wanted to do P.T. Barnum.
Yes.
And I thought, in honor of you, I'm not going to cover P.T. Barnum specifically, but a world that he, helped cultivate.
I love that so much. Because, I did the Lobster Boy.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Grady Stiles, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so this one's for you, kid.
Yay! Sorry. I'm a little bit drunk.
Yes, I know.
Just a little bit. Dana will tell you this story, but first, the food. Let us pray. Bless us, O patrons, for these thy gifts which we are about to receive from thy donations through Patreon every month, under the power of the V Podcast.
Cult.
Oh my God, so pretty.
Wow. My favorite thing in the whole entire world is on this plate.
I mean, given. Yeah, that's
Mexican
a given.
street corn.
Fucking, the jalapenos on top are just fucking beautiful.
But what is it? Tell us what it is.
They're walking tacos and Mexican street corn. In other words, carnival food.
Oh, fucking walking tacos. Walking tacos are quite recent.
Oh, yeah?
They're quite recent.
They're delicious, I bet.
I mean, why did we never think to put meat inside of these cellophane fucking
Baggies
of chips, bro?
Well, let's find out. Wait. What are we drinking? Nydia's already into
I'm deep into this. This is like my third cup.
It is just a spiked lemonade. Very simple, because lemonade
with
carnival
blueberries.
drinks.
It's got fucking blueberries in it, so it's healthy,
Yes, I do. I do know.
It's full of antioxidants.
That's right.
Sure.
It's delicious. This
Absolutely.
lemonade. It's really the only lemonade I like, honestly.
It's a sponsor of the show.
It is. Yeah. Oh
my God.
fried Oreos.
Fuck you. I'm looking into this right now into my future, and I'm thinking I'm going to eat about 4 or 5 of those.
You love fried Oreos? I love anything.
I mean,
yeah.
It's fucking fried Oreos.
Carnival's food is the best.
And I'm drunk.
Let's go. How about them walking tacos?
I got a fucking street corn facial today.
Yes, you did.
I really did.
That's all right. I cleaned across the table when I bit the corn. I squirted across the whole table.
You're a squirter.
Yeah, I'm a squirter. Big time. That's me. Everyone knows it.
That fucking street corn was, I mean,
It's my favorite thing on the planet.
if I was driving down the street and street corn was stopped at the corner and it was like, hey, you want a date? I'd be like, get the fucking baby.
Yeah, you're like, how
Every
much?
fucking time.
How much? Every time.
I would eat that fucking street corn.
Clear off the back seat for it.
I mean, front seat, back seat, fucking over the hood, all of that good stuff. That street corn is fucking, it's fucking Oscar worthy. Also, the walking tacos.
Very good.
I did very little walking. I sat.
Yeah, we sat right down with them. I had to dump mine out.
She did the same thing.
Yeah.
She did
Yeah.
the same. She basically had nachos.
Yeah. Doritos nachos, honestly, is what it was.
How it took so long for us to figure out that Doritos were great for nachos.
Fantastic.
I mean, it was fucking
honestly,
amazing.
it makes perfect sense.
It does,
You know
but
what I
we
mean?
didn't figure it.
What
Didn't
the
click.
fuck?
It didn't click for the longest time.
I didn't know walking tacos were carnival food.
It's a fairly recent thing.
It's fairly recent. When I was doing my research, it kept coming up in multiple articles.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, that's a lot easier than making corn dogs that Dana's going to scoff at.
Yeah, I don't like that. I appreciate it.
Wait a minute, huh? Corn dogs?
Yeah, Dana doesn't like hot dogs.
I don't eat a hot dog.
Dana is like, if you looked up a picture of a person who loves a corn dog, it's Dana's fucking red
aesthetic.
ass, white ass face. It's her aesthetic.
I do seem like a corn dog kind of gal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also last week, I think you mentioned something about making a corn dog for my mother.
Oh, yeah, that was a
You
joke.
did.
though. Yeah, I did say that. You're
Yes.
right. You're right. I did say that. That was just a joke, though. I wouldn't actually eat a corn dog.
Well, yes, you look like the corn dog type.
I'm not sure. That might be top 5 of the insults you've said to me on this podcast. I think my minimum wage face has been my favorite, though.
I didn't say that because you kept saying, I'm sorry. You kept saying that you kept getting asked where
Questions.
stuff was.
Walmart and Target.
Walmart and Target. And I said, well, maybe you have a minimum wage fee.
Oh, I remember the conversation.
I didn't say you had.
I repeated it extensively in therapy.
No.
You owe her for therapy appointments. Those
Are you serious?
the cost of those appointments are expensive.
I'll bill you.
Oh my God. Let me just tell you, folks,
I look like a corn dog kind of gal.
I mean, apparently so.
y'all don't know Dana, but to know Dana is to love Dana. Dana is
appreciate
the queen of fucking Halloween costumes.
That is.
Dana is the friend you go to if you need a fucking paper mache anything. Dana is the Pinterest. I mean, she is down for anything Pinterest. She's fucking down for anything. If you call Dana, she's the most reliable friend when it comes to craft-worthy
That
shit.
might be the sweetest thing you know.
Yes.
Or her cakes. Remember her cakes and how
she's amazing.
She made that unicorn sitting on top of on the bottom of the cake that was destroyed with a candy falling all out of it.
Dana
she is very creative.
Dana's
She's
the
very
fucking bomb
artistic.
friend.
Oh, you got
I
this
don't keep certain. Like, I don't like certain people. But as soon as I met Dana, I was like, this is a lifelong friend.
Yeah. That was mutual feelings for you.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, when I met Dana, we knew each other for maybe a couple months, and I said, "Oh, yeah, you're my friend now,
Yes.
and you're gonna be helping me with my wedding,
Yes.
like immediately."
Yeah.
And she barely I barely know you. You sure?
No.
Also, I was like, look at me. I'm a corn dog kind of gal.
She's not a pick me girl.
Age face. Minimum wage.
No.
You're like, you wedding stuff. I'm like,
No.
okay.
No. To know Dana is to love her. And
That's very
that's all
sweet.
there is to it. Yes.
That's very sweet.
Yeah. And this is me drunk.
Yes. I know.
So fully honest.
So we love walking tacos. Now, how many fried Oreos have you had?
4.
You went for the full hog.
I said I was gonna go about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
By the end of the night, it might be 4 or 6.
No, I don't think they have sopped up any of the alcohol that you drank. But
No, they haven't. But I haven't been drunk on this podcast in quite some time.
yeah, that's true.
I think since I've been medicated, I haven't been drunk on this podcast.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
You know, I didn't make the correlation, but I do see the math adds up, I guess.
I haven't been drunk on this podcast since I got medicated, and I feel like I've let you down.
No, I'll be honest with you. Sober Nitty is much easier to edit. So.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
That's
all right.
okay.
I'll give it to you.
That's all right. I'll allow it. It's a big episode.
I forgot what we were talking about.
Okay.
We're talking about dessert, right?
Yeah, we're talking about
so we're on dessert, right?
Dessert. Jesus
See?
Christ.
And you guys aren't drunk.
Dessert and dinner.
Yeah.
Was fantastic.
Oh my God.
The drink is so good. She put it in a big, like, summertime looking pitcher. Perfect.
There was not enough, honestly.
Yeah, there wasn't. There usually she makes these big beautiful drinks and we both have 5 sips of it. And we're like, me.
Uh-huh.
But this was not enough. It was so good.
You know it's good when I'm drunk.
What kind of alcohol did you spike it with?
Just vodka. Grey Goose.
Oh,
The good shit.
the good shit.
That's why my pinky's been up the whole time.
Yeah, is that
the
why?
whole time. My pinky's just been up.
I hadn't noticed.
Well,
So this week, nothing super major happened to me, but I did get to go see Jinx Monsoon.
I'm so jealous.
And she
Where at?
she was not in Philly, she was in Glenside.
What the?
And it was so funny because, like, the show opens and she's like, so, like, do you guys go by Philly or Glenside? And the audience, like, erupted, like, the Philly people and the Glenside people. And she's like, oh, my God, I made you think I give a shit about this. She's like, don't even start a turf war over it. I don't give a fuck. The show was so good. The show was really, really good.
How beautiful is she?
So beautiful.
Oh.
She, like, does this whole thing about
Does
how...
she look like she's on TV?
Yes, yeah. Yeah. And
She's my favorite.
Yeah, she was so good. We should definitely go see her holiday show. Her and Ben Delacreme do a holiday show.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
My two favorites.
She did, like, a thing where she, like, you know, she's a little witchy.
Yeah.
So she did, like, a thing where she, like, made a seance and she, like, jiggled her whole body. And then she became Judy Garland. Like, she did on the Snatch Games.
I love that.
And it was just so fucking funny. But one of my most favorite things that she said throughout the show was that she considers herself a trans femme, non-binary human with a penis.
Okay.
So she was like, this is great. I love this. The people who fuck me love this. You know who doesn't love it? TSA. Because I guess what happens at TSA is when you go through that big machine, they look at you and they determine whether they think you're male or female.
Okay.
And most of the time, she's very femme, so she gets marked as a female. But then something comes up.
Right.
And so she said that, like, you know, at 7:00 in the morning, there'll be like a big red thing and they're like, what's happening here? Like, whatever. And she said that sometimes they'll, like, yell out, like, genital defect.
No, they will not.
She said.
Why would they?
I don't know, but it was so fucking funny, like, the way she was describing it about, like, how she loves, like, because she'll be like, the most terrible place to, you know, the whole bathroom thing.
Right.
She's like, if I'm going to make anyone uncomfortable with my looks, it's going to be men. So she uses the men's room because she has a penis and that's the law. Most places, that's the law.
You got to walk in with it out, though.
Well, she
in your hand or on a tray.
She just
on a tray is most polite.
She had really, like, thought-provoking, while it was still very funny and comical, really thought-provoking stuff to say, really, like, insightful things about politics and really insightful things about, like, gender and queerness and whatever. And just the show itself, like, the show was not expensive. It was like $50, like, which can be expensive, I would guess, but, like, in the grand scheme of, like, someone who won Drag Race twice.
Right.
Spoiler alert. haven't watched it.
I mean, it's been out for years.
Yeah. It was an amazing, so fun show. But I was texting you because Carson Kressley, who is one of the judges on the show, I did not realize lived in Pennsylvania.
He lives in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, he lives, like...
He seems like an LA type of guy.
I know, but he lives on a fucking horse farm, like,
but I should know that he lives in Pennsylvania because I took a flight from Puerto Rico, from San Juan to Pennsylvania, to Philly, with him.
On the flight?
Yeah.
He walks right past us. I almost shit myself because I was like, oh my God.
How rude. You know? He didn't say hi.
Well, I looked at him like an absolute sociopath. Like, I was like, Carson Kressley. And so then I was like, I have to pee really fast. So I like ran to the bathroom and I was just like, I need to tell someone Carson Kressley's here. So I tell a room full of women, I'm like, just so you guys know, Carson Kressley's here. And the whole room was like, no. Like, everybody started freaking out. But I just thought it was so nice that he bought a ticket.
Right.
The reason I know he bought a ticket, it was middle of the theater.
Right.
Like row G.
What?
Middle of the seat, middle of the aisle.
Right.
He stayed for the show. He left during intermission, not during intermission, during the encore. Like, I watched him leave. He didn't, like, it looked like he was just a fan. Like, he was just a fan of his friend who, like, put on the show.
You know I've only seen him one time, honestly, and, like, with the flight to Puerto Rico, I'm gonna say it again.
Yeah.
The flight was delayed 2 hours. I didn't see him acting like a bitch. Yeah. He just stood, he sat with his people.
He, like, literally came in line. Yeah. Like, he waited in line with everybody. Like,
he was like a normal, regular dude.
Yeah. The guy, because he was, like, 4 rows in front of us, so he sits down next to, like, a regular person. Yeah. And the guy next to him sat down, like, double taked at him, and I was like, God. Oh my God. Like, you could tell he shit himself.
I fucking love that.
Carson Kressley was sitting next to him, because it was shocking to see him walk by. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I like people like that. Yeah, I like celebs like that.
I wouldn't be starstruck if I saw Carson Kressley at the airport or something. Like, I would be, of course, but like, to see him at a drag show where everybody knows him because of that show.
Right. And you would think Jinx Monsoon would, like, comp him some tickets. Yeah. Like, first row or whatever.
Yeah, you would think. Or, like, that he would be in the back or watching it or something. No. He just eating popcorn like a regular Joe.
I love
Crazy.
that.
I thought it was so good.
I love that for him. I love that for Jinx. I love that for you.
Yeah, it was so great.
Yeah.
And Jinx Monsoon's husband's in the show. And, like, it's just...
In the show?
Yeah, like, plays the keytar.
No, he sounds like a guitar playing person.
It was great. The whole show was
God, I love
it was
that.
Like Drag Race but live, like just sitting there, it wasn't like Drag Race obviously, but because it was like very like cabaret, like
who else was in the show that we would know?
Well, there was a bunch of like cameo appearances like on the screen of Ben de la Creme because
Ben de la Creme
they do a lot together.
They're very alike.
Yeah.
Personality wise and talent
from
wise.
Portland, I think.
And like their whole kitsch. Yeah. You know what I mean? I am very upset that Cindy never got the experience.
I know. It's okay.
I feel like we should give it to her.
We should hold her down and make her watch Drag Race.
We should make her watch. Like, I dibs at my house. Yeah. We could, like, literally sit down and watch.
100%.
You know, and just make her into a fan.
Start of season 4. That's where it gets good.
Yeah, but I feel like you need the background information. Yeah, but season 1.
The editing is so bad in the first couple of seasons.
But I feel like you need that under your belt. But yeah, Carson Kressley, fucking amazing human. You know what? My boyfriend went to a game when he was a kid, and I think Shaq was sitting behind him in a game. You know what I mean? Just a regular baseball game, and he was like sitting behind him, and like they got to take pictures or whatever. And it's so nice when you have these people that are just like celebs. You know what I mean?
Shaq is like really funny too.
Yeah,
like Shaq is another one that's like.
I feel like if you like make it like you should pay for the tickets. You should show up to the place. You should sit next to.
I think Shaq does that.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously he did. He was sitting behind my boyfriend. Yeah. You know, so it was a nice experience. I gotta go pee.
I hate you
really
so
bad.
Much. All right, go.
But I have a story to tell. Wait, do I have a story to tell?
Oh my God.
Wait, what's my story about?
You do not have a story to tell. It's Dana's turn to tell a story.
Wait,
I did want to talk about our lanternfly situation.
Yes, we can talk about that.
I can tell you about a horror show and freak show that I've been dealing with.
Yes, let's hear about it.
I don't know if y'all have been aware of the lanternfly infestation.
No,
that
this is everybody's the first I've heard of it.
Everybody's like, you got to kill them.
There's only billboards everywhere about it.
Right.
I am singularly focused in my own direction. I'm not sure if you noticed that about me or not, but...
Wow. Self-absorbed much?
Yeah, kind of saw that. But I got to tell you that last year we only had a couple. Like, we made sure we killed them, whatever.
A few,
right? Uh-huh. This year, This year, it went from 1 week sitting out on the porch, enjoying my backyard, to full on hundreds of lantern flies all over my back porch.
No.
To the point that, okay, we're going outside with our like electrical fly swatter and just zapping them left and right and stomping them. And they jump. They look like ticks / aliens. And half the time they're sitting at the edge of my pergola, just like praying to their alien gods, it looks like, with their little like legs going up. Oh my God. They're just ready to jump on you. And so every time they see me, no. No.
They're very pretty.
They're very pretty. They look like black and when they're babies, they look black and white spotted. It's really pretty, and then they turn red, so they look like a mutant ladybug. Mm-hmm. But these mutant ladybugs, when they know you're coming to kill them, they jump on you. So
my sisters are the biggest freaks on the planet. They cannot stand bugs in any way, shape, or form.
No, wait until you go outside and see this monstrosity of bugs that we have, right? So it's gotten to the top. It's gotten to the point where they see me now and they're like, "Oh, she's here to kill us." So yesterday I had a dress on and I come outside with my fly swatter thing, my sticky, so I have sticky paper so that they stick on and die in misery.
She said die. Jesus. And you're supposed to kill them, though.
You're
right?
supposed to kill them because they're very invasive. So, and they kill all your herbs and crops and whatnot. And we have a little herb garden going, and then my little peppers need to survive.
They might be all over your farm, Dana.
I was just out there. I've never even heard or seen it. I mean,
you've seen them. Trust me.
You've probably seen them and didn't know you were seeing them.
Yeah, maybe.
So I'm out there and I'm trying to put the sticky paper down and they're jumping at me to the point that I was wearing a dress and it went down my shirt, my dress. And I'm like, I'm outside like lifting up my skirt. She's like trying to get this fucker from underneath my dress. I was just a hot mess.
Can you see them like holding on to like Cindy's nipple and like twisting her nipple?
Just flapping them with those big wings.
Oh my God, they are so bad. So bad. It's so bad. I'm just like traumatized by the amount of lantern flies that I have.
Crazy. Yesterday I was farming in the backyard. You know I'm a farmer.
You're a farmer now.
Mm-hmm. And I had these farming pants that I bought in Mexico last year. And I went outside and I did a squat to...
You did a squat?
Like I squatted down to like get into my garden, and they were. And I was like,
pants ripped?
Guess these aren't farming pants.
Your pants ripped.
They ripped from the front.
Is that the pants from the picture that I posted of Dana with her distressed, quote unquote, distressed plant?
Those were distressed, I swear to God.
That is the most middle-aged thing you've ever done.
Wait, I had been looking at that hat at Lowe's for weeks.
Of course you have, because you're middle-aged now.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? I deserve this nice hat. It is 50 SPF. And in my caucus skin, is affected heavily by the sun.
That's right.
I should have a 50 SPF hat
And what print is on the hat?
It's got a little bohemian...
Describe this hat. Describe
it's
hat.
like
It's a straw fucking hat.
It's a straw hat, but it's got like a bohemian print on the inside. And honestly, do you want to know the reason I bought it?
Because you're white and you're middle-aged.
Well, the reason I've been wanting to buy it is that the reason I hadn't pulled the trigger because it was a little. For me, $25 for a hat seems like a lot of money. Oh, says the girl who spent like $400 on a hat. So, but whatever.
How you put me out there?
But she bought herself, honestly.
But my next door neighbor, she's like
the farmer lady,
the old lady Asian,
the one that has the hut. No, okay, this is the Asian lady.
Yeah, the Asian lady. She has like
not the one that has the hut. You know what I'm talking about? Where you thought it was a homeless man.
Oh no, not that lady. No.
Oh, that's the best.
No, I have, on either side of me, I have Vietnamese neighbors.
Yes.
So one of them's like very, very old, and she has like that like corn triangle hat, like Raiden. And I was like, you know what?
You wanted to culturally appropriate
No,
her.
I said, she's a smart lady, and she has a huge garden back here, so I'm going to get myself a hat too, because
fucking colonizer
she has a nice hat, and I want a nice hat.
So you fucking colonized her fucking
I went and got
nice
a white
hat.
person hat. I didn't go get an Asian hat. That would be weird. I went and got a straw hat like a regular white person. God. I went to fucking Lowe's and spent 3 times the price. Like an asshole.
Okay, I see.
But anyway, I was very proud of that hat. And I love it so much. And it really does block out the sun so good. And I bought some distressed plants, and they weren't actually distressed. They didn't mark themselves off. They were already marked off.
Okay.
And they're huge. And one of them's a money tree, because I'm trying to change my circumstances.
That's how obviously you do it. Don't invest.
Right. No, buy a money tree, stick it next to your
Don't
bed.
fucking work hard. Don't save. Buy yourself a fucking money tree.
Duh.
Speaking of money trees,
Yeah.
my daughter's getting married in February.
Yeah.
And she says, hey, if she has a money tree in her house, so
Yeah.
you know she's fucking flaky.
Yeah. Listen, I'm taking advice from Natalie.
So she says, hey, come over and help me finish these invitations, right? And
Yeah.
everybody's been asking me about this damn invitations because she's having a destination wedding and everybody's like, what the fuck? Where are these invitations?
Yeah.
So anyway, so she's like, help me put these invitations together. So I'm thinking I'm going to stuff some envelopes, put some stamps on. I'm thinking it's a 2-hour thing, right?
Yeah.
Me, my sister, my niece, we show up to help her at 9:30 in the morning. We leave at 2 a.m.
Oh my God.
At 2 a.m. Natalie's in...
That's what you get for having a crafty daughter.
she's an
That's
artist.
why-
She has an art degree.
Yeah, this is why I had sons. This is why I have a son.
my
Because
fault.
my asshole daughter would be exactly like that.
I should have aborted her. So
Natalie, I hope you did not listen to that.
she's heard
She
that a
knows.
lot of times. So
She knows.
I show up and I'm like, where's the invitation? She's like, we're making them from scratch.
She's like, I've been shredding paper and soaking it in water for the last 6 months.
Her invitations are on handmade paper. They are embossed,
I can't wait to see them.
hand inked,
I'll have to check my mail one of these days.
hand embossed. Wait, no, not embossed. The wax seal, hand waxed, sealed.
Oh my God.
I mean, every part of this fucking dumbass invitation is handmade. She's having this destination wedding, and we only had to make 50 of them, but it took us from 9:30 a.m. to 2 a.m. in the morning, and we inhaled so much fucking carcinogens.
You're picking out like dried paper from your
I
nose.
mean, it was insane. It was insane. It's something that...
be fair,
me and my
she's
sister
done-
left, and we were like, we're changed because of this.
To be fair, she's done a ridiculous photo shoot for us where we threw cupcakes at each other. So, like,
she's
it's fine.
she's just artistic.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you, but that changed me as a human.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Do you want to know about humans and changing?
Yes.
You want to hear a story?
Yes. That's what we're here. That's why we're here.
That's right.
That's why we're here every week.
I'm Dawn. And I'm Cole. And Scottish Murders is a true crime podcast dedicated to people from or living in Scotland. Just like anywhere else in the world, these murders can be truly horrific and shocking, and we want to shine more light upon them. Join us every 2 weeks on Scottish Murders, where we'll bring you cases both solved and unsolved, giving you an insight into the other side of bonnie Scotland. Find us wherever you stream your podcasts, as well as on social media. Join us there. Bye!
Hey everyone, I'm Laura.
And I'm Jill.
And we are the hosts of Crime Divers podcast. We are Scottish sisters who tell each other true crime cases that other hasn't heard of.
New episodes are released every Tuesday, and you can find us on your favourite podcast platform.
So what are you waiting for? Grab your wetsuit and join us as we dive into the world of true crime.
But remember, watch out for those sharks!
I got my story from hankeringforhistory.com, sci-hi.org.
Is this another hysterical hilarity? Historical hilarity?
Yeah, I guess a little.
All right.
Cemeteriesrow.eu, lostmuseum.suny.edu, and a bunch of Wikipedia articles.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So we can't really talk about everything I'd like to discuss without talking about zoos. The history of zoos trace back to thousands of years. The concept of collecting and displaying animals for public viewing can be found in ancient civilizations such as Egypt, Mesopotamia, China, like all over the world.
Mesopotamia, sorry.
You said Mesopotamia.
Mesopotamia.
Yes.
They had zoos in Mesopotamia.
They would like collect animals and like put them on display. And
like a menagerie.
Yes, exactly.
I love that.
These early collections were primarily reserved for royalty, and they were like symbols of power and prestige, of course.
Shit.
You know? One of the earliest known zoos was established in the 16th century by Queen Hatshepsut of Egypt, who created a menagerie that included exotic animals from different parts of the world. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon were said to have contained zoos of a sort where various animals were kept for enjoyment of the royal family and elite guests. During ancient Greek and Roman eras, zoos took on more of a scientific and educational purpose. The Greeks were particularly interested in studying animals and their behavior, and they established zoological gardens to facilitate research and learning. The Romans expanded the concept and created public exhibitions of animals as a form of entertainment. So starting to like have more of what we know zoos to be, right? The modern zoo, as we know it today, began to take shape during the 18th and 19th centuries. European explorers and colonial powers brought back exotic animals from their expeditions, sparking public curiosities and desires to observe these creatures firsthand, you know?
Right, yeah.
These animals were often housed in private menageries owned by wealthy individuals or monarchs. One notable figure in the history of zoos is Carl Hagenbeck, a German animal trader and entrepreneur who revolutionized the design and concept of zoos in the late 19th century. Hagenbeck introduced the idea of creating naturalistic habitats for animals and moving away from like cages and enclosures, right? So he's the reason we see polar bears and penguins in fake snowy areas or lions and giraffes in safari-like worlds.
Smart.
Yeah. While Carl Hagenbeck made significant contributions to the field of zoology and the evolution of modern zoos, he also faced criticisms for various aspects of his work.
Like what?
He understood that there needed to be a show, not necessarily caring about the comfort and well-being of the animals or the people who worked for him. Hagenbeck's expeditions to capture wild animals for his zoo were often criticized by their methods and impacts on animal populations. Critics argued that capturing and transporting of animals from their natural habitats could be stressful, harmful, and unsustainable, potentially leading to negative effects on wild populations. While his innovative enclosures and naturalistic designs were a departure from traditional cages, some critics contended that the available space in the zoos were still inadequate for certain species, right? And we still hear about that today.
Yeah.
His approach to animal exhibits emphasized entertainment and value over education and conservation purposes. The extravagant and sensational nature of his shows, including performances by trained animals and circus acts, led to accusations of prioritizing profits and the spectacle over the welfare and scientific understanding of the animals.
Right.
You'll see images of him with baby animals, and they're all snuggled up to him, and the animals like seemingly love him and that they have genuine affection for him.
They were fucking faking it.
This also like helped promote his like publicity. Like people were like, oh wow, like look how good he is with these animals. But in reality, he was known to bludgeon the mothers to death in front of the babies.
No.
And then he would be their only source of food. So of course they were easily trained to him after that. Yeah. So yeah, he's a piece of shit, obviously. Carl Hagenbeck died on April 14th, 1913 in Hamburg In Hamburg?
In Hamburger. He sounds very tasty.
From a snake bite. So I guess the snake thought so.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Who the fuck dies from a snake bite?
Lots of people.
Apparently, nuh-uh.
Apparently this jerk off.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like, that's...
He was buried in a family plot, which was adorned with a very special statue of a life-size bronze lion. And it was a depiction of Carl's favorite lion that supposedly saved his life once when he was about to be attacked by other big cats at the zoo.
They should have ate his ass.
Well, in 2014, the statue was reportedly worth over 100,000 euro. Was stolen from the cemetery. Like, people were like, yoink.
Yoink.
I'll take that. But before we move on from Carl, the fair and decent Hagenbeck, we will talk about one last thing that's probably the most important in understanding how the histories of zoos is relevant to how the freak show started.
Okay.
One of Carl Hagenbeck's grand ideas was to display humans alongside in his early exhibits. These displays were often referred to as human zoos or ethnographic exhibitions, and they featured individuals from indigenous cultures alongside animals from their lands, the same lands, you know?
Right.
Human zoos played a significant role in paving the way for the emergence and popularity of the freak show. Human zoos involved the display of individuals from cultures considered to be exotic or just different from Western.
Right. Or, in other words,
norms.
exotic.
Yeah, right. The popularity of human zoos reflected the prevalent attitudes of the time, which were influenced by colonialism, racism, and the fascination with the quote-unquote other.
Right.
These exhibits catered to the public's curiosity about foreign cultures and really reinforced Western notions of superiority and dominance over non-Western societies.
It wasn't just non-Western, because I did a story, one of us did a story about how the mentally ill were also like human zooed.
Yeah, so that's like we're getting to that. We're gonna get right into that. Yeah, that's also
it's a feeding of the curiosity.
Yeah, so a lot of times like this is how it started.
Right.
It started with like these cultural things, right? Like we're gonna talk about a few of them where they would come from Africa or they would come from, you know, South America or they would come from all these places. And then
things you wouldn't normally see.
Yeah, and things that I'm not going to even get... I'm just going to warn you guys now. This is a 20-page paper. Normally, my papers are like 7 or 8, sometimes 10 for the big ones. This is 20 pages. And I'm not even going to talk to you about...
Your research person didn't do it shorter?
I'm not even going to talk to you...
We don't have research people.
No shit. I didn't even touch base on...
Honestly, I think we lost an opportunity by having Nydia's kids doing research for us in some of the history episodes.
Honestly.
What the fuck am I a teacher for?
And I'm not even going to touch base on the infantorium in Coney Island where babies that were like in the NICU, they just like rolled them out to Coney Island and people just like come look at them. Yeah. I didn't even get to get on that. What? Like that's how much shit there is.
I feel like this was a 2-part episode.
I know, it should have been. Shut up. Assholes. So anyway, these zoos perpetrated stereotypes, often objectified individuals, and subjected them to degrading treatment. With everything in history, the shit is complicated because some people were willing participants and some definitely were not.
Right.
Some were paid very well and some were enslaved people. So let's discuss. Sarah Bartman was born in 1789 to a Khoikhoi family.
What's the Khoikhoi family?
Is a traditionally nomadic indigenous population from Africa, which is now Eastern Cape of South Africa. So like that area.
Okay.
She was an infant when her mother died, and her father was later killed by Bushmen while he was driving cattle. Sarah spent her childhood and teenage years on the Dutch European farms. So like that area of South Africa was colonized by the Dutch at that point.
Okay.
In the 1790s, she encountered a free black trader named Peter Caesars, who encouraged her to move to Cape Town. She lived and worked in Cape Town for several years, serving as a washerwoman, a nursemaid, and a wet nurse. She had a relationship with a Dutch soldier, but it ended when he left the Cape, and it's possible that she had 2 children by him, but they would have died at birth or infancy.
Why?
I don't know. Lack of medical treatment or whatever. 1700s in South Africa.
Yeah.
And probably the 1700s in like a colonized South Africa, not like a tribal South Africa where they had their own rights or whatever. Right. I'm just going to tell you this now because you've been drinking. Got it. Be mindful for what I'm about to say because some of it's going to sound funny, but she was abused horridly. Okay. So don't laugh too much when I tell you about her curiosity. Okay. Let me explain to you why many Europeans at the time would have found Sarah a curiosity. She had a condition known as stereotypes.
Okay.
Which is characterized by an accumulation of fat in the buttocks area, resulting in a very like pronounced prostration. So Cindy's going to show you a picture.
I like big butts and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny.
Yes.
Damn, let me see that booty.
Nydia. What did I just say to her?
Back that thing up. Holy shit. Kim Kardashian.
What did I just say to you?
Got nothing on her. She's got booty for days.
Do not laugh at her.
Bro, she looks great.
That.
Let me just tell you that if she fucking...
Let me see that picture, because I don't know if they had cameras back then.
That's a
drawing.
badunkadunk.
Okay,
that's a fucking badunkadunk.
Right. So, do you see this picture of her with the thing in the front of her?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to talk about that, too.
No, I know
she's got like an apron in front
I know
of her.
why that man wanted that. Yeah.
Shut up.
Back that thing up. Oh my God.
In addition to that condition, Sarah also had an elongated labia minora, which was another very distinguishing feature.
So she had big lady pussies? Wait, big lady lips.
Yes.
What's wrong with that? That shit's fucking...
Well, it's fine if you just get to exist and live your life.
If she fucking twerked today, she would be an Instagram sensation.
Yeah, well, I mean, she was a sensation, I assure you.
She's a fucking sensation. Today, she's a timeless beauty.
The problem... I hate you. The problem is, it's in question of whether she had control over...
Damn, let me look.
It's in question of whether she was a willing participant in this or if she was taken against her will. Why would you get her drunk?
She got a fucking big booty. Like, that is a beautiful thing now.
It is a beautiful thing now, but back then, especially to white people, she was...
Who fucking cares?
Well,
that white guy that wanted it.
I don't know if it was a white guy.
Wait, he wasn't?
I don't know. He's just a soldier. I don't know if he was white or not.
Well...
But I'm just saying, like, she might have been an enslaved person. Like, she might not have had the ability to say she was a willing participant in what happened to her. Let me explain, and we'll see if you want to eat your hat in a minute.
Nydia's just staring at...
It's a big old booty. I love it. I wish I had a big booty.
Hendrik Caesar, the brother of Peter Caesar, began exhibiting Sarah at the city hospital in exchange for money.
Okay. Exhibiting her to who?
To, like, medical professionals.
That want to look at her
surgeons butt. And things like this.
Okay.
Yeah, they want to look at her butt. They want to look at all of her. Her labia,
I want to look at all of her. Go ahead.
I promise you're going to regret that.
So go ahead. She's got a great body. By today's standards.
Yes. So, surgeon Alexander Dunlop, who had connections to a showman in Britain, suggested that she travel to Europe and make money exhibiting herself.
Like in the nude?
No, like as a sideshow. Like,
in the nude?
No, not in the nude.
If she's like, showing off her booty, she's in the
nude.
nude.
She would be dressed like in tribal clothing and like you know, an exhibit. Like they would play up like, oh, look at this savage. Look how, whatever. Like, look how different they are.
Right,
look
how different.
Yes.
How different. With a little bit of jealousy tinge.
I would think.
That's how I would see her.
Yeah. So she refused, but eventually she agrees to go to London in 1810 on the condition that Hendrik Caesar accompanies her. But it remains unclear if she was a willing participant or if she had been coerced at this point, because she does not want to go initially.
She probably needs the money, though.
Maybe. I mean, she had jobs in Cape Town. Like, there was no reason
but it was probably more money than she was like...
Well, also, this is, like, slavery time, too. So, like...
Okay, all right.
You know, and these Dutch men, you know, are colonizers. They're there, like, taking people and...
So it's not a good situation.
It's not a good situation.
Potentially not a good situation.
Right. So Dunlop played a significant role in planning and promoting Sarah's exhibition. According to a British legal report, Dunlop approached a museum owner by the name of Mr. Bullock, offering him to sell the skin of a giraffe, and then later informed him about the arrival of a female Hottentot from the Cape who would attract a substantial public attention. A Hottentot is a derogatory term that was used to describe indigenous people at the time.
Really?
Yes. When Hendrik Caesar and Alexander Dunlop and Sarah Barton arrived to London. They lived together in an affluent area. In addition to Bartman, Caesar, and Dunlop, they brought 2 African boys, most likely illegally, from the slave lodge in Cape Town with them. Sarah was exhibited in London by Dunlop, who believed that her physical attributes, particularly her buttocks, would attract curious Londoners and generate profits. She became known as the Hottentot Venus, which was presented as an exotic curiosity devoid of her individuality and more like a specimen of the natural world. This term was used as a sort of a pun because a Venus would imply a beautiful woman, and how could an indigenous woman with such qualities as hers ever be considered beautiful?
She is now.
Yeah, certainly. Onlookers were encouraged to poke her and prod her to make sure that the exhibit was not, like, fake, you know? That it was her skin, that it was her body.
So they encouraged people to come up and poke her ass?
Yeah, like, touch her, grope her.
Right.
Yeah. Sarah's exhibition in London created a scandal, occurring just a few years after the abolition of the slave trade in 1807. So you weren't supposed to still be trading slaves at this point.
Right.
America still had them till,
too long.
Yeah, 63 or something, 68,
right.
Something like that. So this is still, 50 years in America is still doing it, but they're not supposed to be trading them anymore.
Okay.
So this creates an uproar in London. Like, what are you doing with these African people? Like, what the fuck?
Why are you poking their
Why
ass?
are you poking them? Does she want to be here? Does she have the ability to say she wants to be here? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Right.
The British Abolitionist Society and the African Association campaigned for her release. The matter was taken to court, and with the Attorney General seeking to determine if she was exhibiting herself willingly. She made statements reportedly in Dutch, saying that she was not under restraint, she had not been sexually abused, she had come to London of her own free will. She claims that she did not wish to return to her family and understood that she would receive half of the profits. The case was dismissed based on her statements, though doubts have been raised about her ability to make a free and independent statement. Like,
Why couldn't she?
Because it's probable that she was, like, enslaved by them or, like, coerced by them or being threatened by them. So the court case brought her even more publicity, further increasing her popularity as an exhibit. She later toured other parts of England, Ireland, Suffolk. Around 1814, Sarah was taken to France by a man named Henry Taylor. Taylor then sold her to Jean Royal. He was a ballet master and deported from the Cape Colony for seditious behavior.
Ew.
He exhibited Bartman under more oppressive conditions for 15 months at the Police Royale in Paris, where she effectively experienced enslavement. Like, he was not letting her go. She couldn't come and go. She wanted.
Wait a minute.
She wasn't being paid.
She was sold.
Right, exactly. That's what makes it questionable whether she was there on her free will. Yeah. So it's probable that she was not able to be making these statements like, oh, yeah, I'm fine. Like,
what?
Yeah. And that's like, she's an African woman in the 1800s. Like, of course,
Yeah, not cool. Stop laughing at that. You shouldn't have been laughing at that.
You're gonna...
That's wrong.
I'm done with
but
it.
you should have started off with that.
Did I warn her?
You warned me,
Very
but
clearly.
then you showed me a picture of a big, big, juicy butt. That's different.
I told you not.
But you didn't tell me she was sold.
I told you.
You told me she was, like, brought on, not sold.
I told you what I'm about to tell you.
Right, well, now you gotta change the fucking script. Go ahead.
Of you hysterically laughing for 18 minutes?
It wasn't like I was laughing. I was fucking jealously supporting it.
All right, listen.
She's got a big, juicy butt.
In Paris, her exhibition became intertwined with scientific racism. French scientists including George Cuvier, I think was a famous scientist back then. I don't know.
Maybe.
History's my thing, science not so much. Visited her to examine her physical features. Particularly, he was interested in her elongated labia. Paintings were made of her in the nude, although she wore a small apron-like garment that I showed you in the other picture earlier that maintained her modesty according to her own cultural norms. She steadfastly refused to remove it, even when offered money by the attending scientists. Bartman's exhibition extended beyond formal venues to wealthy people's parties and to private salons. Like, so he was just like...
Right.
for lack of a better word, like pimping her out to all of these parties and all of these things.
Could you imagine a party where like you were seeing people's labia?
I mean, their bodies in general. Like, you're just like, look at this and a person that you're like pretty sure is there against their will. Like, what are you doing?
See,
are you
the
okay?
thing is, like, I would be more behind it if she was there.
Of course, of course,
like, willingly,
100%.
Right,
and that's the moral dilemma of this whole thing.
Right.
Her promoters in Paris did not face concerns about slavery charges or allowing them to exploit her any further because Paris wasn't really part of like the English and American situation. So her existence in Paris was described as miserable and impoverished. She was treated as less than human, with evidence suggesting that at one point they had placed a collar around her neck. Eventually, Bartman was forced into prostitution and lived in destitution.
Oh, no.
Sarah Bartman died on December 29th, 1815, around the age of 26, of an undetermined inflammatory ailment, possibly smallpox. Some sources suggest that she contracted syphilis or pneumonia. Like, I don't know. The scientist Cuvier, I know I'm like butchering that. Like, people are screaming at the thing, but he conducted a dissection of her body, but no autopsy to inquire the reasons for her death.
Wait, so what's the difference between a dissection?
He basically just took the parts that he was interested of. Her buttocks, her labia, stuff like that.
You're gross.
Yeah. The Museum d'Histoire Naturelle retained Sarah Bartman's remains, including her brain, her genitalia, a skeleton. They were considered a unique specimen of humanity with a significant scientific interest. Sarah Bartman's skeleton and body cast were on display at the museum. Her skull was stolen in 1827, but later returned. The remains continued to attract visitors until they were relocated in 1937. The exhibition of her body cast and skeleton focused on emphasizing, her body and what it looked like. And it reinforced the primary point of interest, which sparked complaints about the degrading representation of women. The skeleton was removed in 1974 and the body cast in 1976. Calls for repatriation of Bartman's remains began in the 1940s. It wasn't until 1994 when President Nelson Mandela formally requested that France return Bartman's remains.
Jesus Christ.
After a lengthy legal process where France did not want to fucking give her back, they finally agreed to the request on March 6, 2002.
Holy shit. That's a lot of years. She was literally enslaved after death.
Yeah.
For years.
200 years, yeah. Bartman's remains were repatriated to her birthplace in Gamtus Valley on May 6, 2002. She was finally laid to rest on August 9, 2002 on a hill in the town of Hankey, more than 200 years after her birth. The repatriation of her remains symbolizes a significant step in acknowledging the injustice she suffered and reclaiming her dignity.
That's so sad.
It was really sad.
She lost her dignity.
Yeah.
For her whole life.
Yeah.
And 200 years thereafter.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the problem, right? Like,
yeah. Oh
that's
my God.
like the difficulties with these things. Like,
right.
The next person I want to talk to you about is Otabanga.
Okay.
Otabanga was a member of the Budi people, and he lived in the Congo Free State near the Kasai River. His community faced oppression and violence from the Force Publique, a militia established by King Leopold II of Belgium to exploit the region's resources, particularly rubber. One day, while Ota was away on a hunting expedition, there was an attack on his people by the Force Publique, and his wife and children were killed. He was later captured by slave traders. In 1904, Samuel Werner, an American businessman and explorer, traveled to Africa on behalf of the St. Louis World Fair. And it was his mission to bring back a group of pygmies to be a part of the exhibition at the World Fair. They wanted these small African people that they'd heard of, these pygmy tribes,
Okay.
Werner encountered Banga during his journey to Batwa, a pygmy village that he had previously visited. So Banga, Otabanga was a pygmy. He was a small African man.
And the whole tribe was small?
I guess, yeah. They're like little.
Interesting.
Yeah. They're not like little people, but
Right.
they're short. They're small.
So they're like a
Small
whole
in
tribe
stature.
of us.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
Werner.
So it's like if like you, me, and a group of us our size.
Yes, probably.
Together.
Yeah.
Got it.
Werner bought Benga from the slave traders in exchange for a pound of salt and a bolt of cloth.
Damn.
Werner later claimed that he had rescued Benga from cannibals. Obviously, this claim has been proven false, and it was only used to promote his story.
Okay.
Werner and Benga spent several weeks together before they reached the village of Batwa. And in this time, I suppose they developed some sort of friendship, because when they got to Batwa, the villagers were, like, initially distrustful of Werner because he's a white guy. Like, what the fuck is this white guy doing? And Benga vouches for him.
Really?
Oh, he's a nice guy. He's going to take me to America. So fun. It's so fun for you. I mean, you guys should come too.
He bought me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he understands what
purchasing another
human being would be between two white people that he probably doesn't speak the language of.
Right.
You know? Right. So eventually, 4 Batwa men agreed to accompany Werner and Benga on the journey to the U.S.
Okay.
Werner also recruited other Africans, including 5 men from a Bakuba community, including the son of their king. Now, let me just say this about Werner. Obviously, he's a piece of shit, right? But for the time,
right,
I think he was semi-okay-ish, right? He does, like, these people that he hasn't bought, he does bring them back to Africa. Like, we'll talk about that in a minute.
He brings them back.
Yeah, like, he brings them for the World's Fair, and then he brings them home when they're ready to go home.
Okay,
so,
that's
like,
not that bad, then.
Right, like, he also did bring Otabanga, like, buy Otabanga from a slave trader. So, like, not good.
Well, okay, hear me out. Let's say that you know a slave trader. And you know that you either buy him or he gets sold to real slavery.
I mean, and Werner seems like he genuinely cares about Otabanga. Like, he looks him out. Like, it's not great. It's not a good situation. But I think for the standard of the time, I think he's like, okay,
get sold into slavery,
but he takes care of him,
right? Or I'll buy you. You can have,
you get to go to this World's Fair, and you get,
and then I'll bring you back.
He doesn't bring Oda back, but he brings these other guys back, okay.
Like, maybe they didn't want to come back.
Well, we'll talk about that, Okay. They make money, like it's complicated, right? It's complicated.
Okay.
So,
maybe it's a symbiotic relationship.
Well, we'll see. Tell me what you think at the end.
Yes. I think I'm also going to eat another fried Oreo.
I think you should eat another fried Oreo. Yeah.
I want to puke fried Oreos.
The group was taken to St. Louis, Missouri, in June 1904, without Werner, who karmically had gotten malaria. He doesn't die, but he is very sick.
Yeah.
The Louisiana Purchase exhibition had already begun, and the Africans immediately became the center of attention. They're like, holy shit. People were like, what the fuck are these people? Benga was particularly popular because he was, like, personable with the visitors, and they were eager to see his teeth, which had been filed into sharp points as a youth as a ritual decoration.
No!
Yeah. I'll show you a picture of Otabanga.
Oh, he's adorable.
He's cute, right? Yeah.
And he's, like, really got a friendly smile.
Besides the razor sharp teeth, but yes.
I don't like the monkey and the tribal gear.
Yes, okay.
I don't love that.
Yeah, you're not gonna.
Oh, no. But he's really sweet.
Yeah.
I don't know, he seems like a sweet kid.
Yeah. So the Africans learned very quickly to charge for their photographs and performances. One newspaper account promoted Benga as the only genuine African cannibal in America, and they claimed that his teeth were worth the 5 cents he charges for showing them to visitors.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, that's that. When Werner arrived a month later, he realized that the Pygmies were more prisoners than performers, and they weren't being allowed to congregate peacefully on their day off without being harassed by crowds of, like, fascination, like, people.
Paparazzi.
Yeah, right, fascinated with them. Benga accompanied Werner when he returned the other Africans to the Congo, and he briefly lived amongst the Batwa while continuing to accompany Werner on his African adventures here and there. Like, he was, like, hanging out with him, I guess.
Right.
He married a Batwa woman who later died from a snake bite.
They're all dying from snake bites. What the fuck is up with snakes?
They can be very dangerous. Benga chose to return with Werner to the United States because he felt isolated and no longer a part of the Batwa people. It's possible that due to his time spent in America, the people of his community shunned him.
He got Americanized.
Yeah, they wouldn't let him come back. Werner eventually arranged for Benga to stay in a spare room at the American Museum of Natural History in New York City.
The fuck?
Yeah. Werner was trying to display the things he had been collecting in Africa, Oda Benga being one of them. Benga initially enjoyed his time at the museum, where he was given a Southern-style linen suit, like Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Really?
I'll say, you know, that kind of thing. But he quickly became homesick for his own culture. Like, he's like, this is not the wave. What are these shoes? What is this hat? This is so fucking weird.
What are these underwear?
Yes, my God. And they wore so much fucking clothes back then.
Oh,
like, are you joking me?
Too many
Are you
clothes.
joking me right now?
Too many fucking clothes.
The dissatisfied Benga attempted to find relief by ruining his employer's presentation of him. He tried to slip past the guards with a large crowd as they were leaving the premises, but was stopped. He was asked on one occasion to help a woman a wealthy woman to her seat. She was like the wife of a wealthy donor. He pretended to misunderstand what they wanted him to do and then picked up the chair and threw it at her, like just missing her by like inches. Eventually the museum was like, dude, come get your boy. He does not want to be portrayed as a savage for some odd reason. This is weird. I don't know. We're letting him live here in this fun suit. Like, what the fuck? And so Werner had to find a new placement for him. Next best thing, the Bronx Zoo.
No, stop it.
Benga's exhibition at the Bronx Zoo was arranged by zoologist and the director of the zoo, William Hornaday, who believed that Benga represented the evolutionary missing link and sought to showcase him as the living example of human primitivism. Human privatism. What the fuck? Why is that word so hard to say?
Primitivism?
No. Primitivism. Primitive?
Primitivism.
Yes. Human privatism. Oh, what the fuck? Forget it. The exhibit attracted large crowds, and visitors came to see Benga as a spectacle, often engaging in racist and demeaning behaviors.
Jesus.
During his time at the zoo, Benga was subjected to inhumane treatment. He was provided with minimal living conditions, confined in a small cage, and exhibited in a manner that reduced him to the status of an animal. Visitors would mock him and taunt him, throw objects at him, make derogatory comments. Benga's humiliation and degradation was further perpetrated by the captions and signage that would reinforce racist stereotypes, portrayed him as a savage and a wild creature. Benga was often exhibited alongside monkeys, birds, and other animals, which is what you're seeing in the pictures,
right,
to further perpetuate his, quote-unquote, savage lifestyle.
Right.
The exhibition of Benga at the Bronx Zoo drew widespread criticism and outrage from the African American community and the human rights activists, considering slavery had only been abolished in America for mere decades. African American clergymen such as Reverend James H. Gordon protested against the dehumanization and racism behind the exhibit. Booker T. Washington also condemned the display, calling it an affront to dignity and humanity to African people.
Not Booker T.
Booker T was not into it.
He was not into it.
After several weeks of intense public backlash and mounting pressure, Benga was eventually released from the zoo, and he was taken to a black orphanage in Brooklyn.
Wait, why wasn't he just fucking returned?
Well, he was taken to an orphanage/asylum.
Yeah, because he was not a child.
He's not really a child. No, he's like a father at one point.
He's a very short...
Right. He remained there for a little while, but the unwelcome press attention continued in January 1910, and Gordon arranged for Benga to relocate to Lynchburg, Virginia, where he lived with a family. So he could...
A white family?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think so, yeah. It said a family.
Why gotta be a white family?
I mean, maybe it wasn't a white family because it was orchestrated by a black priest or pastor or whatever. So maybe he was with a black family. I just don't know.
Okay. How old was he?
I'm going to tell you in a minute. So he could more easily be part of the local society. Gordon arranged for Benga's teeth to be capped and bought him American-style clothing. He received tutoring from Lynchburg poet Anne Spencer in order to improve his English, and he began to attend elementary school at a Baptist seminary in Lynchburg. Once he felt his English was improved significantly, Benga discontinued his formal education, and he began working at a tobacco factory. And he began his plan to return to Africa. He wanted to go home.
Yeah, because he was totally colonized, even by the people that were trying to help him.
Yes, he wants to go home.
Right.
It's 1914, though, and World War I broke out, and a return to the Congo became impossible because passenger ship traffic was stopped because of the war. So Benga became depressed, and his hopes for return to his homeland faded. On March 20th, 1916, at age 32 or 33, he built a ceremonial fire, chipped off all the caps on his teeth, and shot himself in the heart.
What?
With a borrowed pistol. Yeah. Benga was buried in an unmarked grave at the back section of an old city cemetery, and at some point his remains went missing. Oda Benga received a historical marker in Lynchburg in 2017. Jesus. So now we could not possibly cover the topic of freak shows or human zoos without discussing your boy, P.T. Barnum, and some of the people that he made his living exploiting.
Yeah, he was very...
He's right in here with this controversial...
Yes.
Right. The term every podcast says is moral ambiguity. It's such a good term. I tried not to keep saying it, but honestly, it's the best. It's so fishy.
Describe myself as a moral ambiguity.
As morally ambiguous.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Morally ambiguous.
Yes.
Because while I wouldn't take a human, you know what I mean? I wouldn't, I am morally ambiguous.
I love that you backed off of that.
I can see both sides of this, you know?
Yeah, of course. And certainly the two stories I've told you so far, not great. Not good.
Initially it started out as okay, maybe they're on board.
Yeah.
But then it started to be okay, they're definitely not.
Yeah. And that's the problem is when at what point?
You know what? Regardless of them being, marginalized as they're black and they're being manipulated by these white folks. Mm-hmm. I think everybody in that time range that was a star was also being manipulated for you talk about Elvis. This is definitely, I understand that it was a different time, but you're talking about Elvis. We did the Lobster Boy.
Yeah.
All of them. You know what I mean?
Certainly in this industry.
We did the story of with that singer, the girl.
Oh my God. Heroine. Billie Holiday. Yeah.
Yeah, we did that. Everybody initially gets sucked in by somebody who's fucking clearly a sociopath.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, you can make money while I make money.
Yeah.
And then they're led down a path where now we own you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that could have been, that's a story for Elvis. That's a story for everybody that we literally covered that has been famous.
Yeah.
Where initially they were on board and then it took a fucking train south.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting perspective.
And that's been that too.
Oda Benga certainly was yeah, sure, this sounds I already lost everything.
Right.
Yeah. It's unclear what Sarah Bartman's situation was. Maybe she was into it in the beginning. Maybe she wasn't. You just don't know.
Right.
But yeah, it's the problem is once they want to be done, you gotta let them be done.
Exactly, and I think that they become such money machines, such ATMs
there's no way.
for these people.
There's no way someone's going to let them go. No.
Come on. No matter how good the guy at the other end, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
So, one of the first people, P.T. Barnum.
Right. I really wanted to cover P.T. Barnum in this. Yeah.
I know you did.
I'm glad you did, though.
Well, I'm not covering him specifically, but we're going to talk about some of his things. Yeah. And there is 1 million...
He would be an entire podcast.
Yeah, there is 1 million podcasts.
Yes.
And people can't even cover blip of him.
Yeah.
A blip of him.
He was just so much.
So much, yeah. One of the first people he exhibits is a woman named Joyce Heth. Little is known of her early years.
White, black?
She's a black woman.
Okay.
She was enslaved by John S. Bowling, and in June 1835, she was sold to promoters R.W. Lindsay and Coley Bartman, who eventually sold her to P.T. Barnum, with claims of her being a 161-year-old enslaved woman who had served as the caregiver for young George Washington.
I have heard this story.
Okay. Barnum capitalized on the curiosity surrounding her age and her supposed connection to this prominent historical figure.
Right.
This, of course, attracted attention to the exhibition. During her time on display, Joyce Heth was exhibited across various cities in the United States. By the time Barnum exhibited her on August 11th, 1835, she was already near the end of her life. I mean, she had been doing this for a long,
Right.
These people had been dragging her around the country for a long time.
Before him,
yeah. Right. She was blind, almost completely paralyzed. She could talk, and she had only some ability to move her right arm. So he, fucking propped this old-ass woman up. Just, go ahead and tell your story.
Right.
And her act involved her singing spirituals, recounting stories about her life, and including her alleged association with George Washington. When skeptics would come to try to discredit the legitimacy of her age, her body aided in the belief of the exaggerated age. She looked the part.
Right.
She was described to have a very small frame, deep wrinkles. She was toothless and had fingernails that resembled talons. They were thick, long fingernails. Yeah. It's possible that the toothlessness of her mouth was a result of Barnum forcibly extracting the teeth so that she would look older.
I heard.
Although we don't know that that's true.
Although it sounds like it was.
It sounds rough, yeah. When ticket sales would taper off, Barnum would write anonymously to the Boston newspaper or wherever he was, saying that Heth was a fake, she's actually a machine, she's made up of whalebone and old leather, and then crowds would be like, well, we need to see the machine.
Oh my
The automaton.
God. What a fucking ass.
And it would work. Crowds would flock there.
Jesus Christ, he was a marketing genius.
Yeah, he was. He really fucking was.
Right.
And Barnum worked Joyce until her death on February 19th, 1836. After her death, to gratify the public's curiosity, Barnum had a public autopsy where, just for the public to watch, to dispute her age. This guy's going to autopsy her and we're going to figure out how actually old, count the trunks, the tree rings, I guess.
Fucking Christ, she's a human.
Yeah. The examination determined
How much was he charging for that?
Oh my God, he's a nightmare when he does. We're getting to some other stuff.
So let me ask you: was this a one-time thing, or was this on the road continuously?
I think it was just a one-time thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! I need to see a picture of her.
It was likely revealed that she was in her 80s only.
Yeah, I remember that.
And contradicting Barnum's claims.
Right.
Some thought that he was a con man, and some felt so bad for him that she had conned him.
Oh, how sad.
Yeah. But don't worry about Barnum. He was once quoted saying, "The common man, no matter how sharp and tough, actually enjoys having the wool pulled over his eyes. It makes it easier for the puller." Oh, after the death of Joyce Heth, Barnum needed a new act, right? Up to this point, we have been talking about people who may or may not have had any say in the control of what their show was like, or they were going to do it or not going to do it, how they were exhibited. But that is not the case with this next performer. Okay, you're going to feel good about this one. Okay.
For once.
Yes. Charles Sherwood Stratton was born on January 4th, 1838 in Bridgeport, Connecticut. He was the son of Sherwood Edward Stratton and Cynthia Thompson. At birth, Charles was a relatively large baby. He was born 9 pounds, 8 ounces. He grew normally for the first 6 months of his life, reaching the height of 25 inches, weighing about 15 pounds. However, his growth suddenly just stopped after his first birthday, causing concerns for his parents. Despite otherwise being healthy and having siblings of average size, Charles showed no signs of growth after, a couple years. In late 1842, Charles was almost 5 years old, and he had only grown an additional 1 inch since he was 6 months old. Yeah, he was a tiny little nugget. Yeah.
Oh my God.
He had not gained any weight. Nevertheless, his body was proportionate and fully functional.
What was his name?
His name was Charles Stratton.
Oh, I thought his name was Thomas. Tom Thumb?
Yeah. That's a stage name.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Barnum discovered Charles Stratton, and after contacting his parents, he became the mentor and manager of Charles. Barnum taught Stratton various performance skills, and together, Barnum and Stratton's father formed a business partnership. At the age of 5, Stratton embarked on his first tour of America. A little dude, 5 years old, and he's like, literally, like
the size of your
he's
thumb.
the size of a 6-month-old. You know, he's 1 month old,
right.
1 inch bigger than a 6-month-old.
So he's like 28 inches.
He's tiny.
tall.
We'll talk about his
Actual
age,
height.
yeah, in a minute. His performances included impersonating characters like Cupid and Napoleon Bonaparte, as well as singing and dancing, and engaging in comical banter with other performers. Barnum gave him the name General Tom Thumb, drawing on inspiration from popular English fairy tale. The tour was an immense success, leading to an expansion. The following year, Barnum took Stratton on a tour of Europe, where he gained international fame. He performed for Queen Victoria and the Young Prince of Wales. Stratton's success continued when he triumphed in the play of Les Petites Pochettes in France. A little nugget.
Le Petit Pochette. Dana calls it a nugget.
Where everywhere he went, crowds flocked him, solidifying his celebrity status. His fame allowed him to contribute to the collection of famine relief for Ireland. Like, he's
so he's there.
He's in it, yeah.
He's the vibe.
Yeah, everybody loves him. Stratton's performance in New York marked a significant turning point in the history of the freak show entertainment. Prior to his debut, such shows were regarded as dishonorable and unappealing. However, Stratton's lively and entertaining acts changed the perception of these shows, making them highly popular and favored forms of theatrical entertainment in the U.S. From the age of 7, Stratton performed in full-length fairy tale melodramas under Barnum's management. He played the title role in productions like Hop O' My Thumb and Several League Boots. I don't know, all these like...
I'm sorry?
Hop O' My Thumb.
Okay.
While Barnum emphasized Stratton's small stature, he also aimed to highlight the true talents of the performer. So the kid had it, regardless. Like,
he had the
yes,
it
he was a tiny little guy.
Right. He was like an early Webster.
Yes, because he was like Webster,
right?
Like proportionately
sized,
small. Yeah,
right.
Like, you know, some little people, like, they're a little bit disproportionate. Tom Thumb was not. He looked like a miniature human, like regular person.
Yeah, exactly. Like a little shrunken down person.
Yes, right. Stratton was noted for his cleverness, his acting skills, his singing, dancing, and comedic abilities. Certain critics evaluated him based on his merits as a professional entertainer rather than comparing him to other members of the freak show community. As Stratton continued to age, his height increased slightly. On his 13th birthday, he stood at 2 feet 5 inches. On his 18th birthday, he was 2 feet 8.5 inches. And on his 21st birthday, he was 2 feet and 10 inches.
Wow.
I mean, he is like...
2'10".
Yeah. Little.
Very little.
Stratton became a Freemason, initiated alongside a man who was 6 foot 3 inches tall.
I love that for him.
Yeah. Meanwhile, let's talk about Mercy Lavinia Warren.
And back then, 6'3" was very
probably
tall.
Fucking huge. Yeah. Lavinia and her younger sister Minnie Warren had a form of proportionate dwarfism. Same thing as
like they were very tiny people.
Yes. Considered to be desirable as sideshows and museums of that era, owing to their perfectly miniaturized characteristics, the same proportion as common larger people, caused by a pituitary disorder.
Okay.
After a successful career as a well-respected and beloved schoolteacher, she began at the age of 16 when...
I'm sorry, she was a school teacher at the age of 16?
Yeah, like, it's the 1800s, you know? They're just, like, teaching each other how to read and write, I guess. You know what I mean?
Sorry, that's...
I don't think they had to, like, go to college for it or anything, you know?
I don't think she passed the praxis.
I don't think so. Lavinia went to work as a miniature dancer.
I thought she was a teacher.
She was, but her cousin worked on a Mississippi showboat, and he asked her if she wanted to come perform on the boat.
And she was like, yeah, I'm sick of these
that sounds
kids.
great. Yeah, that sounds great.
I'd rather dance.
She enjoyed performing and learned of Charles Stratton's success alongside the rest of the nation, so she pursued a performing career as well.
Okay.
Under the management of P.T. Barnum. She
P.T. Barnum
changed her name from Mercy Lavinia Bump to Lavinia Warren, the stage name she had previously used while performing on the Mississippi Riverboat. Charles and Lavinia first meet in 1862 when Lavinia joined Barnum's entertainment troupe. Lavinia was a talented singer and actress, and her charm and stage presence caught Charles's attention.
I bet. Oh my God, there was a tiny romance. There was a fucking tiny romance.
Yes.
Tell me, please.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love this so much. How tall was she?
She was smaller than him. They soon developed a close bond, and they began a romantic relationship.
Oh my God, I love it.
Despite their small stature, Charles and Lavinia's relationship blossomed into a deep connection filled with love and mutual admiration.
Oh, this is fucking awesome.
Did you look up a picture of them?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let me see the picture. I want to see.
So this is him.
Wow, he looks like a little boy.
Yeah.
And now this is different.
Oh my God, they're so stinking cute.
Yeah, they're really cute.
Oh my God.
They shared similar experiences and understood the challenges faced due to their height. The shared circumstances further strengthened their bond and understanding of one another. On February 10th, 1863, Charles Sherwood Stratton and Mercy Lavinia Warren tied the knot in an extravagant wedding ceremony. The event was organized by P.T. Barnum. It was a highly publicized affair attended by
Barbie, Ken.
by notable personalities, including celebrities and dignitaries.
Oh my God.
Listen to this shit. The lavish wedding took place at Grace Episcopal Church in New York City, and thousands of onlookers gathered to witness the union of the famous couple. While admission to the wedding was free, Barnum sold tickets to the reception for $75 a piece, which
I would have paid for that shit.
So much money back then.
Bet. How much?
Can you look that up?
Oh.
I didn't look it up.
Yeah, do you
$75 in 1863. $75 to the first 5,000 people that applied to go. Yeah.
Also, they were fucking so stinking cute.
Yeah.
According to the one calculator, it says 24. This one says $27,048
per person for the first 5,000 people.
Holy shit.
Yes.
Okay, I definitely can't afford that.
No. The couple stood atop a grand piano at the reception to meet 10,000 guests.
Jesus multiply that by 10,000.
Yeah, just 27,000, 2 million, I guess 2 million.
In 18, yeah, right. Yes, for the wedding.
No, wait, that's more than that.
Hold on.
27,000 times, how many?
10,000.
Times 10,000 is 270,000.
I don't know math like that, yo.
Wait.
No, I
just
was
add 3 zeros.
27 million.
Yeah, 27 million. Damn.
Following the wedding, the couple was received by President Abraham Lincoln at the White House.
Fucking Abraham.
Yeah.
Stop it. And everything that I've read about him, that never came out.
Yeah, I know.
Also, I love that name, Lavinia.
I know. That's such a fun name.
Lavinia. It's such an old name.
Yeah. Charles and Lavinia continue to perform together, captivating audiences with their acts and charming stage presence. They traveled immensely in both the United States and abroad, delighting spectators and receiving widespread acclaim for their performances. Outside of their careers, Charles and Lavinia maintained private and content life. They enjoyed harmonious marriage, were known for their affectionate interactions and support for one another. Their relationship transcended the public personas, and they cherished their time together as husband and wife. Sadly, their marriage was not without tragedy. In 1871, Lavinia suffered a miscarriage, which deeply affected the couple. The loss was a devastating blow, and they found solace in each other's love and support. Under Barnum's management, the Stratton couple was very wealthy. They owned a house in a fashionable part of New York and a steam yacht. And they also...
Wait. What?
Well, like yachts were like... Boats were like...
Oh, a
propelled
yacht.
by steam, yeah.
Oh, I
steam
thought you
yacht.
said in the steam yacht.
No, and a steam yacht.
Oh, okay, because I was like, New York.
Yes.
Steam yacht.
Yes.
And I was like, where's that section of New York?
They owned a house in fashionable in New York and a steam yacht.
Wow.
They also owned a specially adapted home on one of Connecticut's Thimble Islands. It had
Thimble.
I love it. It had like small countertops and facilities, but also had regular sized spaces for their guests when they came.
Oh my God.
When Barnum got into financial difficulties, the Strattons bailed him out.
What?
Yeah. Later, they became business partners. The couple were marketed in a childlike manner.
Right, yeah, they
and
were.
this did wear on them after a while. Many people, when they met Lavinia, would want to pet her and pick her up.
Right.
As she wrote in her autobiography, it seemed impossible to make people understand at first that I was not a child, that being a woman, I had the womanly instinct of shrieking from a form of familiarity. I can never say that fucking word. Familiarity?
Uh-huh.
Which in the case of a child of my size would have been as natural as it was permissible.
Right.
Charles Sherwood Stratton and Mercy Lavinia Warren remained married until Charles's untimely death in 1883 at the age of 45. He had a stroke. Over 20,000 people attended his funeral.
Wow.
Barnum purchased a life-size statue of Tom Thumb and placed it as the gravestone at Mountain Grove Cemetery in Bridgeport, Connecticut. When she died, more than 35 years later...
Holy shit.
Lavinia Warren was interned next to him with a simple gravestone that read, his wife.
Oh, no. See, not cool, man.
I think that's what she wanted.
Really?
I think so.
Oh, my God. What a cute love story.
Yeah, I think she
also,
just...
did she have a bae after?
Did
she get remarried?
I don't know. Her sister, her little sister, also had the same condition of dwarfism that she did. And her sister also married a little person. They were all part of the same act.
Okay.
And they did have a baby, but she and the baby died in childbirth. So it was like good.
Because the baby was too big.
The baby was a regular sized baby.
Oh.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Their marriage and personal life was marked by love, understanding, and shared experiences. Charles and Lavinia's union not only showcased their remarkable talents, but also served as a testament to the power of love and companionship, regardless of stature.
Oh my God, I love that story.
Okay, I think we would be remiss if we didn't discuss Julia Pastrana. Julia Pastrana was born in August 1834. She was an indigenous woman from Mexico, somewhere in the state of Sinaloa. She was born with the genetic condition hypertrichosis. Her face and body were covered with straight black hair. Her ears and nose were unusually large, and her teeth were irregular, which was caused by a rare disease undiagnosed in her lifetime called gingival hyperplasia, which thickened her lips and gums. Multiple versions of Julia's early life exist. Literature produced by those who managed the freak show she appeared in described her as belonging to the Native American tribe called the Root Diggers, whose members were similar to apes that lived in caves.
So wait a minute, she was from Mexico?
Yeah, but the people who billed her were like, she's from this. Yeah, they're like making up this like...
Right. It's a marketing ploy.
Right. In this version, it is said that a woman identified only as Miss Espinosa was kidnapped by the tribe and held in a cave, and she took Julia Pastrana with her when she was able to escape. In another, probably more accurate version, which is based on the words of the indigenous village in Mexico that it's believed she's from.
Okay.
Julia was a local girl whom they called the Wolf Woman. In this version, she lived with her mother until her mother passed away, after which her uncle sold her to the circus, which is probably more accurately what happened.
Yeah. Your uncle.
It's Thunder.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your uncle's always a dick.
Yeah.
In every story.
In every story. Have you ever met a good uncle?
Not really.
Not really?
No.
She began her career as a performer in the early 1850s, but by 1854, she eloped with Theodore Lent, marrying him in Baltimore, Maryland.
Was he Harry too?
No. Lent took over her management, and they toured through the U.S. and Europe. Recognizing the potential to capitalize on her appearance, Lent took her on tour, presenting her as a hybrid between animal and human, and worked in sideshows under stage names such as the Baboon Lady, the Dog-Faced Woman, the Hairy Woman, the Ape-Faced Woman, the Bear Woman, the Nondescript, and the Ugliest Woman Alive.
Damn.
That's her husband.
That's her husband,
Yeah.
bro. Damn.
Yeah.
Let me look at that picture again. That's a cute dress.
It's a cute dress, yeah. Yeah, she sewed all her clothes. Actually, I heard about that. She sewed all of her clothes. Like, she made her own costumes and things. Like, she was talented.
Interesting.
Her performance often consisted of her showcasing her unusual physical attributes, as well as singing and engaging in various acts of entertainment. In addition to her physical appearance, Julia was said to possess a lovely singing voice, which became a notable aspect of her performances. Her ability to entertain audiences with her singing talent helped her elevate her status as a performer. During her career, she toured extensively through the United States and Europe, drawing large crowds wherever she went. During Julia Pastrana's life, her management sought the opinions of various doctors and scientists to add credibility to their exhibition and to attract a larger audience, right? That's the bottom line, is always to make money off these people.
Make more money.
Yeah. Different experts provided contrasting views on her nature and origin. One doctor, Alexander B. Mott, claimed that Julia was the result of mating between human and orangutan, asserting that she belonged to the hybrid species.
What the actual fuck?
Dr. S. Bernard of Cleveland declared her to be of a distinct species, implying she was not fully human.
Okay.
Yeah. On the other hand, Francis Buckland, believed that she was simply deformed Mexican woman, while Samuel Nealon Jr., an anatomist, stated that she was human and of Indian descent. Just like, she's just an Indian. That's why she looks like that. I'm like, okay. Even renowned naturalist Charles Darwin, who mentioned her in his discussions.
I was thinking of Darwin.
Yeah.
I was like, when's she going to mention him?
He mentioned her in his discussions, describing her as a Spanish dancer with a thick masculine beard, hairy forehead, and a regular double set of teeth in both upper and lower jaws.
She had double set of teeth?
She didn't. She just had swollen, like, she had
protruding gums.
Yeah, this
okay.
gingivital condition or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
He noted that her mouth projected due to the redundancy of teeth, giving her face a gorilla-like appearance. So there you have it. Men in science doing science shit.
Sciencing.
They're sciencing, yeah. They're so smart. They know everything.
I mean, I wouldn't say that they're smart.
They know all the things.
They confidently claim to know all these things.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yes.
Without a shadow of a doubt, not one of them had anything wrong with what they thought.
TED talking their way through life.
Yes, absolutely. So while on tour in Moscow in 1860, she became pregnant, and during childbirth, both Julia and her baby faced severe complications. She gave birth to a son with similar features to herself. The child survived for only 3 days, and Pastrana died of postpartum complications 5 days later.
Damn.
The exact details of the complications and specific medical causes of her death are not extensively documented. Her loving husband decided that he should still make money off of her and their son, so he had their bodies taxidermied by a professor of Moscow University and exhibited them in museums.
I'm in fucking shock.
Yeah.
I'm not agreeing. I'm in shock.
No.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Museums, circuses, amusement parks around the world, including Europe, United States, Norway, and Sweden. They attracted a considerable public attention and controversy.
How was that fucking allowed?
Yeah, and like I'm pretty sure like it doesn't say it like on the Wikipedia articles or whatever, but I had listened to a podcast. Aaron Mahnke does a whole series of like all of these, like it's like 12 episodes. What's his fucking show called? What's his
Curiosity?
Yeah, he has this curiosity thing. He does a whole season on Sideshow Freaks. And so he does a whole episode of this. And my understanding is that the husband got married after he was like selling, putting her body on display. And then he died. And then his wife became responsible for her. So she just sells it off to like the highest bidder. And she gets the money. And then her body and her son's body are just sent around to like circuses and nobody was really like...
Wait. Let's go back to that.
Yeah.
So...
She dies. Her and her son die.
Right.
He mummifies them.
Because he's married to them.
Yeah, they're his. Yeah, they're his property.
Yes. Oh, that's so gross.
Yeah,
but yes.
they're his.
Right.
And they're in Moscow. right? And
Russia?
she's from Mexico. Yeah. Yeah. They're touring in Moscow when she dies.
Okay.
So who knows what the fuck the laws were.
Right.
And she is, I mean, essentially, like, in the 1800s, like, she is sort of his property. She's his wife,
still today,
yeah,
women are like lesser than cats.
Yeah, she's like his, yeah.
In some countries, lesser than cats.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So he mummifies them, and then he rents them out to circuses and museums and whatever.
Yeah.
While this is happening, he dies. Or he goes into an insane asylum, and then he dies there.
Obviously, like, the natural...
Because he's unwell.
Right.
Yeah, you're
clearly,
fucking unwell.
If you fucking mummify your wife.
Yeah. And your newborn baby.
Thank you.
So then when he dies, his new wife, they're her property.
Oh, so he got married.
Yeah. Like, quickly.
Oh, yeah, like, you can, like, an 1800s man could not remain single.
No. So she just sells them.
Okay, got it.
She sells the...
Yeah, she's like,
I don't need this. Right? Yeah, I don't need this, yeah. And then they become sort of like... They get sold from, circus to sideshow to this to that. And it's popular for, like, a long time.
Right.
In 1972...
No, please not 1972.
The bodies of Julia and her son were still being exhibited and touring in the United States.
What the actual fuck?
In 1976, vandals broke into the storage facility where the bodies were being kept, damaging the baby's body, and the remains were believed to be consumed by mice.
What? That's so fucking gross.
In 1979, Julia Pastrana's preserved body was stolen, but later recovered and stored at an Oslo Forensic Institute in Norway. It remained unidentified until 1990, when it was placed in a sealed coffin at the Department of Anatomy in Oslo. In 1994, Norway Senate recommended burying Julia Pastrana's remains, but the Ministry of Science decided to keep them for research purposes, quote unquote. Finally, Julia Pastrana's body was turned over to the government of Sinaloa, and her Catholic funeral takes place with hundreds of attendees, and she's buried in a cemetery in Mexico.
You know what's sad is that they were really enslaved for way past even their death.
Yes. Yeah, they had no peace in death, like no rest. No.
That's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
I also found out the entrance to that autopsy was 50 cents per person for 1,500 people.
For
the autopsy.
Joyce Heth?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Jesus Christ. Yeah, Barnum did not lose a wink of sleep making money off people. Not a wink.
Dang.
My man made money. So I could go on and on and on about the amazing people that I had on my list. Like Schlitzie, a man with microcephaly. That's like, you would, they were called pinheads back in the day. Right. Really tiny head, but regular sized bodies. You think of him when you think of American Horror Story season freak show. They mimic that, the little bald headed guy with the little tuft of hair on the top. He's
like a shrunken head.
Yeah, that's Schlitzie. They're portraying Schlitzie. He was a very famous sideshow performer, beloved, sweet, loving, just adorable.
Was he intellectually capable? Like,
no.
Right.
He was wildly famous. He was beloved by everybody who knew him. He even had the opportunity to appear in the 1932 movie Freaks, which I did watch today.
Really?
Yeah, it's like free on like 5 platforms. It's a little bit like, it's from 1932,
right?
But it's interesting.
Got all the questions.
Yeah, right. It's interesting. And it portrays Lavinia and Charles.
Oh, really?
Like, there's a little small couple, and he's being seduced by like a regular sized woman. And
really?
Yeah, it's
the harlot.
Yeah, it's good. It's
Lavinia
cute.
Fight her.
She's upset about it. Yeah. Or we could talk about the lobster boy, Grady Stiles, who had ectrodactyly, which you covered in a previous episode. Myrtle Corbin, who was the 4-legged girl from Texas. She was born with severe congenital deformity, having like conjoined twins, but just the legs. So she had 4 sets of 4 legs and 2 pelvises and 2 uteruses. And,
oh my God.
Yeah.
She got 2 periods?
Yeah, she had different kids from different uteruses. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And then there's the 2 Asian...
Oh, Yang and Chang. Yeah. Yes.
And then they ended up marrying their own people.
They each had their own wives.
Right.
And they each had like 20 kids or so. They had, between the 2 of them, they had 21 kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was a lot of sex happening.
Yeah, they lived next door to each other, and 3 days they would spend at one house, and 3 days they would spend at another.
How about that?
I mean, I could go on and on. Each of these people could have their own whole episode. I literally did scratch the surface of each of these people.
That's why I never did.
It's so
Barnum.
much. Yeah.
Because it really wasn't about him. It was mostly about the people that he managed.
I encourage you to look each of these people up. Feel free to look up the Adam Mankey thing. It's a 12-part series, and he goes into each one really well. And more. There was something he did that I didn't cover. These shows thrived during the 19th and 20th century, capitalizing on the public's fascination with the unusual, the bizarre, the extraordinary. While freak shows provided some performers with a means of livelihood and acceptance within a community, they also perpetuated stigmatization and exploitation.
Yeah.
The shows often sensationalized and commodified human differences for profit, forcing harmful stereotypes and societal prejudices against individuals with disabilities and unusual physical attributes. The Freak movie, the Freaks, the 1932 movie, is actually an interesting look at that, because the point of the movie initially, this man, and he gets literal Schlitzie and literal people with dwarfism, actual people, to perform in this movie. He wants to portray the fact that without your interest, there would be no freak show.
Right.
So you don't get to be mad that the freak show came to town when you're giving me 5 cents to come in and see it.
Exactly.
And when the movie did come out, they made, there was such an uproar about it that they changed the movie, they changed part of the movie because the bad guy from the movie was you. The bad guy from the movie was the regular sized person.
Right, the person, the run of the mill.
Yes, and people were not happy that, they were being, made to, be held a mirror.
Guy.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just, this whole thing is
makes sense, yeah.
While the freak shows of the past have mostly faded in the way that we once have known them, we still, as a whole, love the voyeurism of the strange and unusual.
It's a fucking
It's
natural
interesting,
thing.
yeah.
We are naturally born curious.
Luckily for us, we don't have to leave the comfort of our own home. We can just turn on the tube and watch a little reality TV.
Absolutely.
Both freak shows and reality TV are forms of entertainment that have aimed to captivate audiences and generate interest.
Absolutely.
They rely on attracting viewers through unique and intriguing content.
The Kardashians.
Even Drag Race,
What brought us to the Kardashians? Kim's big ass.
and her sex tape,
her big ass. Yeah. I go back to her big ass.
They thrive on sensationalism, seeking to create dynamic and attention-grabbing moments, whether it's showcasing physical abnormalities in freak shows, even if you think of TLC, My Little Life or whatever, My 600-Pound Life. Or
My
whatever.
19 Kids.
Yes,
19 and
John and Kate plus 8, whatever the fuck.
It's always been a freak show.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And I think that when I did Lobster Boy, Grady Stiles, I also talked about TLC, because TLC was very big on that.
TLC loves it. They love somebody with dwarfism.
Is the modern day freak show.
Absolutely.
Or was. I don't even know if TLC is still.
I don't know. Both genres cater to the public's fascination with the unusual, whether it's physical abnormalities and curiosities in freak shows or the extraordinary and often unconventional lives depicted in reality TV series. Both driven by the desire of financial gain. And also, I don't know if you watched that new documentary on the kids, the 19 Kids and Counting. Some of the kids came out and did a docuseries on it.
Yes,
did you watch
I haven't seen it.
It's good. It's good. Easy. It's easy. It's not an easy watch if you have religious trauma, but it is an easy watch. I watched it all in one day. And
are they still
the kids that speak on the show are not?
They've strayed away from it.
Okay, yeah. Good. And particularly the children were not paid for their work on the show.
I guess not. Yeah.
And that is it's wild how illegal that is. There's a law because of, the guy who plays Uncle Fester in the 1960s movie. He was a child actor.
I remember.
And his parents blew through what would be $4 million in today's money.
Yeah.
And so the fact that the 19 Kids and Counting kids did not get any money for that show is shocking to me.
Yeah, because
that TLC allowed it to happen.
Because of him, they had to make laws. Yeah.
And TLC meaning the Learning Channel, right?
Yeah.
Because, Some millennials may think of something different.
What? What would they think of?
Don't go.
Oh. Yeah, but we're talking about
Also,
reality.
they're
Which
not
is a given.
millennials. Those are Gen Xers.
Yeah.
I'm aware.
That are thinking of TLC in that way.
Because immediately all I kept thinking of, don't go chasing waterfalls.
Yeah.
That first came in, but then I was like, all right, she's talking about TLC, the channel.
When you consider the moral ambiguity of freak shows, it becomes apparent that this form of entertainment presents complex ethical questions. While they provide a platform for marginalized individuals to earn a living and gain some level of recognition, the exploitative natures of these shows cannot be denied. The public's fascination with the abnormal and the unusual can sometimes lead to the objectification and dehumanization of these displays. But that's it.
And I agree with that,
Yeah.
but I also disagree at the same time.
Well, that's why it's...
They're on television. They're
Well,
on,
yeah,
they're
that's
on
different.
television. Anybody on television, whether it's a little person or Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
When you see them on the, you don't see them as human. You
Right.
see them as a spectacle.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with their, body.
Yeah.
Or
So
anything.
today, it's a little bit different
Right.
today, right? Because
Yeah.
you're not going to go on TV without knowing. That's not always true. I think sometimes the producers will lie to you or edit you in a way or do this or do that. But I think majority, it's not as obscure as what I'm talking about in the freak show era.
Well, we've literally been exposed to everything. Like back in the day, like in the freak show, early freak shows, you weren't traveled. You weren't a
Right.
well-traveled
Yeah.
person. You didn't even see it on television.
Yeah.
So seeing a strange animal such as an elephant,
right?
you know what I'm saying, was just like, oh, ooh,
Yeah.
ah. When you only had fucking, not even radio,
Right.
you had books.
Yeah, imagine someone with, lobster
Somebody that
claws.
was different
Imagine
to
with someone
whatever
with facial
you
hair.
were
Yeah.
exposed to anywhere. You could have traveled miles and miles away from your home and never be exposed to a freaking person that looked different from you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, granted, we have to give them that,
Yeah, I mean, it's not down to every individual, right?
Right.
Of course not.
Right.
But I think, it's like, it's the chicken and the egg situation, right? Would these people have been able to exploit these people if the people weren't interested in seeing the exploitation?
Right.
It's one thing for Charles and Lavinia, who made millions of dollars,
Right.
versus someone like Sarah Barton or Oda Benga,
Right.
who didn't really have a choice or didn't possibly have a choice, or the ones whose bodies were displayed for 2 centuries after their death. Like,
Right.
That's a little bit of a different situation,
I was just observing of all of those that did well versus those that did not well.
Common thread?
There was a common thread there.
Common thread?
And a clear observance of difference in skin color.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
ethnicity.
Absolutely.
So, and race.
Yeah.
So the only one that was acknowledged for their oddity
Yeah.
and actually paid for their
Right.
oddity, became millionaires,
Yeah.
was clearly
Yeah. So as far as P.T. Barnum is concerned, like, he did not pay Joyce Heth. As far as we can tell, he purchased her. She was technically an enslaved person. But Barnum would pay his people. Barnum, yes, he paid the white ones, but Barnum was so jealous of Julia Pastrana that
Really?
wasn't one of his, like, that he didn't get a hairy woman
Really?
first. He was so mad about it. And when he did have a woman with the bearded lady or whatever,
Right.
he paid her. I mean, his performers, my man made money, but
Right.
that's the thing about Barnum that's so confusing.
Yeah.
He exploited these people, and the ones, even if they were,
Here's the thing.
ethnic.
Was he on the other side of if you've got it, flaunt it?
What do you mean?
Was he on the other side of that?
Like, what do you mean?
Like, okay, let's talk about Anna Nicole. Anna Nicole Smith.
Okay.
You could say that she was exploited in the same exact way. She was
Sure.
a fucking freak show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she was the original fucking real reality star.
Yeah.
We followed her. We exploited her
Yeah.
until she fucking died.
Yeah. We watched her kids die.
We
her,
watched-
we watched her tragic life.
Her kids didn't die. She
Her
only
son,
had the one.
her son died of an overdose
shit,
right
yeah.
before she did. Yeah.
Oh,
And we
yeah.
ate that shit up.
I mean, yes, even Michael Jackson, as he imploded himself.
And that's a good example of somebody who started out and did not have any say in what was happening with his life. Yeah. And the minute he got control, the child stars is another very equal.
So anytime that you're in the spotlight, it's almost like an exploit, there's an exploitation of you.
Absolutely.
You know?
And at what point?
To our delight.
Right. Yes, that's the point.
Because all the way till the end, we'll be eating that shit up.
Yes, 100%. Huh. Yeah. We'll never stop. Like, there's something about voyeurism. Like, you see that people will be like, oh, true crime is such an absurd... No, people watched hangings and beheadings and guillotines from the moment they started doing it. People were there's something about voyeurism and watching and not being a part. I love drama. I fucking love drama. I don't want to be a part. When my friends are fighting, I'm like, oh my God, that's so fascinating. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight with anybody. But if my friends are like, did you hear about so-and-so? I'm like, no, tell me the tea. I don't want to be a part of it, ever.
No, I never want to be a named party. No, I never want to be a named party.
But I do love to witness it, Yes. I was in trouble at work last week. I haven't slept for a wink. You know what I'm saying? I hate being a part of it.
But when you told me about it, I ate it up.
I know. And when everybody else heard about it, they loved it. I love it so much more when it's not about me.
I wasn't happy that it happened to you.
No, but it's entertainment.
But it is entertainment.
Yeah. Especially when it's your own fault.
Yes. So, dude, yes. P.T. Barnum. Dude.
That's it for me, friend.
You may hate him or you may love him, but he was fucking amazing at marketing.
Oh my God. The quotes that P.T. Barnum had out there are just so funny. So funny.
Name some of them.
There are some that are attributed to him that aren't him.
Oh.
Like a sucker is born every minute. He didn't actually say that. Oh. Someone said it about him.
How could somebody say that about him?
Because he stole... So there was a man in the Midwest who made a big ass, fake skeleton. Big ass, a giant.
Like the one that Home Depot sells?
It's like that. Yeah, big.
Okay.
And then he put all this shit around it and then buried it. And then a year later, he had people go out there to dig a well.
No, stop it.
And then they found it.
Oh my God.
So Barnum's like, no, I need a giant. So Barnum was made a fake giant. And that guy sued him.
Oh, fuck.
And was like, he stole my fake giant. And the courts were like, if your giant is fake too, then you can't sue him because they're both fake.
Right.
And in his quotes later, he said, a sucker is born every minute. That's why Barnum's so popular, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But Barnum never said it, but he's attributed to that. That's one of the quotes that's attributed to Barnum.
Got it. Wow.
But it's not him. But he has some good ones. Without without promotion, something terrible happens. Nothing.
Oh, shit. That is so true. Which is the predicament of this podcast. Hey.
It ain't for lack of Cindy trying, that's for sure.
Hey. I got it after.
Clowns are the pegs which the circus is hung. We didn't even talk about pegs. That's my story of... I don't know, sideshow freaks, the entertainment biz.
Right.
Many of those things I had on a list of things I wanted to cover. I was looking over my list and being like, what is something I really want to cover? So I grabbed a bunch of them and then took off from there.
Right. Huh. So last week we said we had an announcement for you, and while this has been tough to admit defeat, if you will.
Yeah.
For 3 years. Almost 3 years.
Almost 4 years.
Really? It's been that long.
4 years.
We have been bringing you episode after episode every week. And in recent times, this last season, most of all, we have felt that this podcast has become more of a tedium for us, where Dana is, an empty nester. I'm an empty nester. We want to travel. We want to do things. Cindy's doing her own thing.
Cindy's heart is fully in it.
This podcast, we haven't been as fully invested as we would have wanted to be.
Certainly not as fully invested or dedicated as we were.
Right. And, part of it has to do with we didn't catch momentum. We didn't get to quit our jobs for this, you know, thank you or no thank you. It's all your damn fault. But and we felt like we couldn't really give you the product that we wanted to give you.
Right.
Anyway, so next week we'll release all of our monthly Patreon critiques that we did there. And the following week we will have one final episode.
Yeah, our last meal.
Yes, the Crime Diner is closing its doors.
Yes.
And that breaks my heart to say it, honestly. It really does.
I said I was...
This was never about the money.
No, I mean, obviously it would make things easier if we didn't have to work so much.
Right.
And Nydia, the main issue, in my opinion, is Nydia's schedule is conflicting with mine.
Right.
So there's never a reprieve of... Okay, now we're both have some free time.
Right.
When she's busy, I'm off, and when vice versa.
Right.
So
and
it really
when I'm
just
free, she's working.
Yeah. So I was finishing the story this afternoon, and my son's like, "Oh, where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm going to record my last story," and he was like, "Oh my God, really?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's kind of sad," and I'm like,
We've been doing it for so damn long. When I told my boyfriend, who was an avid listener to the podcast, I should say, like, it's almost, it's heartbreaking because we were just doing this because we found it fun. Yeah. And then I got medicated. Yeah. And all of a sudden, murder was no longer fun. Not that murder was ever any fun. Right. It's that voyeuristic thing that we do, which is so fitting that you would do that story. Yeah. Because this is like that rubbernecking that you do when there's a gruesome accident. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So that's what it's always been about. Yeah. That rubbernecking for us.
And also, we're genuinely friends. Right. Like, we're genuinely, you know, we made mistakes along the way. We pulled each other's hair out. We really, like, you know, we tried really hard to make this work. And
we came literally with no experience. Like, nothing. Like, zero experience.
I have to tell you.
We're not comedians. We're not connected in the... You know, we're not performers.
And we're going to talk about this a lot more next week. Yeah. You know, we'll talk about all the things.
In a couple weeks.
Yeah. In a couple weeks.
Yeah. Yes. In our final episode.
Right.
And so I won't, like, sit here and boohoo at you just yet. But this has been, I mean, life-changing experience for me.
It really has been. Mm-hmm. It really has been. You came into this in, you know, at the end of a relationship. Yes.
My life is not what it was.
You got the therapy that you needed. I got the medication I needed.
But this genuinely was the crutch I needed to get
clearly.
I mean,
I'm such a better person.
I mean, and we'll talk about this because I have so many things I want to say, but like, I have learned so much about life and politics and
oh my God, yes.
You know, what you can say, what you shouldn't say, what people want to hear, what they don't want to hear. Right. You know, I learned about editing. I've eaten great food. We went on travel together. Yeah, we have people who showed up for us that we never met before. No. That fucking cheer us on.
And that's what makes me saddest about all this.
The only thing that makes me sad.
Yeah.
The food
honestly.
Too,
well, the food we could still do. Yes, and we still have some projects. Yeah. Going so don't think we're not fully gone. And we'll discuss that in a couple weeks, but we still have some things in mind because we've made friends here. And we don't want to let those friendships go away. And we want to continue to build.
We have literally, through this podcast, made lifelong friends.
Yeah.
Right.
I think.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Amy, you know, Evie, all of y'all, you know, Emma, your insights. You know, there's so many of y'all that we just don't want to let go of that either.
Right.
So stay tuned for the additional...
Stay connected with us on socials.
Stay connected, yes.
We're not going anywhere on socials.
Yeah, and
well, Lydia's been gone forever, but
that's because of my dad. My dad started following me on Facebook, and I've been hiding, laying low ever since. But I'm still out there creeping. But if you wanna send us a message, a voice memo, do this via email, you know, maybe tell us what episode you really enjoyed, what moment really stands out in your mind, anything that you really would like to share with the podcast, we would really appreciate it.
The easiest way to probably do that, I'm assuming, unless you have mics, is a voice memo on your phone. You can just record it right on your phone and then send us an email at
thecrimediner@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And we would love to hear from you.
Yeah, we want to hear from you. It will make us...
Even if it's negative. I mean...
Nope. No thanks.
I love that.
Yeah. Whatever you want to say. We want to hear it because I think it will help the transition for all of us.
Yeah. So the whole not in 2 weeks. We'll have a final episode. We'll do some recaps. We'll have a few laughs. We'll talk and we'll share some viewer.
Yeah, we'll talk about all of it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. And
we, as far as Patreon, don't forget, we're still going to finish out this month with the light bites. But after this month, we have to close them out.
Yeah.
So that's it for us. Check you out next week. And remember, don't get taken to the second location. Even now.
Especially now.
Yeah.
We won't be here reminding you every week.
Exactly. Be good or be good at hiding the body. Cheers.
Cheers.
Are you okay?
Jesus Christ. You're so fucking loud. You're disgusting and I hate you both. Oh, God. I'm crying. Oh, my God. And holding my pee because I almost fucking peed myself.